Good evening. Sunday night, live. Just jumping in on, little updates on the studies as I go and filling you in on what I feel. It's not necessarily new information for me as I've studied acupuncture along the way, but as I'm moving through this integrative medicine PhD, it's definitely refreshing a lot of things for me. So I shall share away because it's through an understanding of meridians and morphogenetic fields, whatever they are, I'll explain in a minute, and how that relates to health, longevity, relationships, and basically every reflection in your outer world. So tune in if you're out there, or catch the replay if not. So morphogenetic fields, these are groups of cells able to respond to discrete localized biochemical signals, leading and development of specific what's my wording here? Hold on a minute. I can't even see what my wording is. Oh, here we go. Structures, basically. That's not helpful, is it? Just think about morphogenetic fields as energy flowing through it that's containing information necessary to shape the exact form of a living thing. So there you go. That's a much better explanation, because as I talk through these meridians and the morphogenetic fields, I mean, what's that even got to do with anything? So I'll just repeat that. So a morphogenetic field contains information necessary to shape the exact form of a living thing. So let's think of you as that living thing. And meridians are channels through which energy flows, through what chi flows, through life force, through what that flows. And if you've tuned in previously when I was talking about chakras, the chakra or the energetic wheels along the spine, or that are really enclosed in the inner body, it's from there that all the meridians flow. So meridians are channels that through which the chi flows between the array of organs. And when we have an excess or a deficiency in chi throughout these meridians, then it can produce many symptoms and dis-ease in the physical body. So before I go on, how do you like this chair? It's like the red chair on Graham Norton, except for it's pink. Anyway, so when we start to understand the relationships between our emotions and our feelings and our thoughts, and how that flows through the morphogenetic fields and the nature of these meridians, then we can really truly understand holistic health. Now, according to Dr. Goswami in 2004 and others before, the main aspect of the acupuncture theory is that there are channels for the flow of this vital energy. So I've talked about the vital body before. So we have the 5 bodies of consciousness. You have your physical body, which is the crystallized form of consciousness. And then just outside of that is the vital body. And that's through that we connect with the electromagnetic fields of consciousness. It's how you tap into the matrix. And then above that, you have your mental body and the supramental body and bliss. And it's through those sort of big, finer outer layers that you're able to truly infiltrate and change your reality. Yeah. All right. So I'll repeat that. The main aspect of acupuncture theory is that there are channels for the flow of vital energy between the vital blueprints that are reservoirs of programs that execute the biological function of the organ, and of course of one organ, of a system of organs, of an organism. And according to the Taoist medicine, there are 12 main meridians, and it's what they call the Principal Meridians. There's also 8 extraordinary meridians as well that run a little bit deeper. So we're just going to discuss the 12 main meridians today, and they're related to the viscera and the organs of the physical body, so all your internal. And these meridians have a quantum nature, and so therefore they're subject to quantum non-locality, meaning you can totally impact another meridian in another energetic field from a distance. It can be impacted, and you don't even have to be near. So we are one, remember, through the quantum realm. So let's talk about the liver. I always say you can't live without a liver, and it's the organ of power. It is also the organ of impulsivity, aggressiveness, control, patience, command, leadership, fighting spirit, ambition, clarity, strong opinion, visionary qualities, and wisdom. So when it's when it's in excess, when there's too much energy flowing through it, or if there's been a very strong negative emotion, generally really impacts the liver, like anger, frustration, guilt, resentment, those types of things. If you're harboring and having emotions trapped in the liver, and there's energy in excess, then it will manifest as stubbornness, extreme impulsivity, emotional outbursts, jealousy, anger, and bitterness. So when we're sort of seeing these characteristics in people, if we're in that state and we stay in it long enough, it becomes a mood. And if you stay in that mood long enough, it becomes a characteristic of your personality. And then, of course, that drives your personal reality as well. So when you're interacting with other humans and you're seeing somebody who is, of a very jealous nature, or they're always angry, got the shitty liver going on, then it's likely they have an excess of energy, and the liver meridian is out of balance. It's also a yin channel as well. So yin is very nurturing channel. And I'll talk more about that on another. Which one am I going to talk about that one on? Oh, when I get into the 5 elements, we'll talk more about that. So when it's deficient, when your liver energy is low, then there'll be this fear of death, apathy, impotence as well. And I find that when people are low on liver energy, then what tends to happen, they tend to be cranking up at about 3 o'clock in the morning. So the liver does a lot of its work between 1 and 3. So if you're waking up at those times of night, then there's definitely a imbalance in your flow through your liver meridian. So do something about it. You cannot live without a liver. And don't make the mistake of thinking that it's alcohol that will do the most damage to the liver, because the third fastest growing Western chronic illness is non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So you've got to ask yourself why. One, because of the poisons and the toxins that people are putting into their system, but also because it's reflective of these emotional states. So keep coming back to emotions, or emotions as energy in motion. So we'll move on to the gallbladder, because of course that's that little punching bag of an organ that sits, just sort of dangles underneath the liver. It's tucked away, and it's almost like it drips bile into as the stomach empties the contents. It's very, very acidic, and so the bile neutralizes that, and that the gallbladder is the organ that's around controlling judgment. So the morphogenetic matrices associated with the wood element and yang polarity, which is all that's associated with the gallbladder, is about good decisions, patience, planning, executions. The liver really is the organ around planning, but the gallbladder is the organ that's associated with executing plans, shall we say. So this is all about having all of your energy flow through your system as they're impacted through organs, and maintaining balance for optimal health and wellness. And as I've talked, as we live in a reflective realm, if your energetic lines are out of balance, it is going to show up in your realities as well. So back to the gallbladder, organ of patience, planning, executions, deliberations with freedom, righteousness, and courage. And when it has energy in excess, it will manifest as really stubborn characteristics, apprehension, discontent, frustration as well. As it's deficient in energy, then it will manifest in ways such as low self-esteem, insomnia, engulfment, low blood pressure, and chills. So the body's always speaking, always giving you insights as to what may be out of balance. Now, don't forget that this can change from day to day and week to week, even as the body attempts to balance the energy forces through the system. We're constantly trying to get homeostasis. So listen, and pay attention. If you talk about the heart as an organ, the relationship, it's about the relationships of the body, integration, compassion. The heart feels, of course, is where you wish from. I was taking my niece out for breakfast today. I'm down in the Tron for a couple of nights and staying with my sister's family, and my lovely niece came walking with the dogs and I this morning, and we went out to a cafe and I taught her some goddess tips along the way, and one of them was about the heart space. Well, I talked to her about chakras, but the two chakras I really paid attention to was the solar plexus, which I said to her, it's your alarm system. It senses before your brain can even comprehend what's going on. It senses what's happening, whether something's good or right for you or not. So listen to the alarm. And then also the heart space, of course, that's where you wish from. So much power there. So it's a fire element, and with yin polarity. And it works out of synthesis of the 5 Chen in consciousness. So it's all about love and integration, vitality, emotional stability, optimism, and happiness, basically. And you can tell when somebody's heart meridian is in excess because they will have that really full-on red face. Those people that you see and their skin's really, really, really red. Yeah, it's an excess in heart energy through that meridian. And it can also manifest as restlessness, excessive laughter. That's a nervous system response. So if somebody's laughing too loud or too soon or any of that thing, that's definitely a system that's feeling a bit threatened. As is, here's another tip, not that it's to do with the heart stuff, but if somebody is speaking and their eyes start to flicker really, really fast, that's also a nervous system response to threat. It's feeling under stress and threatened. So lots of giveaways, really. And then, of course, if it's insufficient, we'll go back to the heart meridian. If it's insufficient, then you'll see that real grayness to the skin as well. So if the energy through the heart meridian is in excess, then, as I said, anxiety, restlessness, excessive laughter, euphoria. So anything, too much of anything is not good for us at all. So euphoria can also be interpreted as mania as well. Hysteria, dissociative orders, I love the labels, fixed ideas, hallucinations, and emotional sensitivity. So people who are really, really emotionally sensitive, too much energy through the heart meridian, so it needs to be dispersed elsewhere in the body. Remember, everything's yin and yang. So with one that's in excess, there will be another energy flow that is deficient. And because all of these meridians are linked to organs in the system, if it's in excess, an organ's under stress. If it's deficient, the organ is under a different sort of stress because it's not getting enough energy through to be able to perform the activities. So as if the heart meridian is deficient, then it will manifest through sadness, apathy, neurosis, memory loss, that type of thing. So again, dead giveaways really when you're looking at it. All right, what else have we got? So moving on in the meridians and the morphogenetic fields, this one is cool. This one's I'm particularly interested in. The small intestine meridian. And of course, if you think of the small intestine as an organ, it's really where it's our energy production. And sitting right behind the small intestine, you have your pancreas as well. And then even further behind that, you have the adrenals, which pretty much govern everything. So when the small intestine energetic field, well, that's related to analysis, assimilation, creative abilities, mental clarity. And you're going, how so? Because the vagus nerve, wanders all down to the visceral as well, and 80% of the vagus nerve is sensory. So it's super highway to the limbic system, to all your previous experiences. So it's all about designing. Remember, we're wired for survival. So if your small intestine is also related to the capacity for manifestation. And that'll be partly to do with the physiological aspects of the small intestine, also in terms of production of serotonin and dopamine. You can't produce melatonin if you don't produce serotonin, and most of that's produced in through the gut. So, and then melatonin, of course, is linked with the pineal gland, and then you transmute melatonin, and what do you know? Boom, you've got intuition and manifestation capacity. So, it's also involved with the discrimination and the ability to understand themes related to transcendence. So in excess, if energy is in excess through the small intestine meridian, and of course that morphogenetic field, then there's a compulsion to work and a compulsion or extreme nervousness, shall we say, and of course that makes sense with anxiety, right? And if it's deficient, then there'll be mental agitation. Well, that also makes sense, being that the small intestine is where all the breakdown occurs, or the majority of the breakdown of the digestion occurs, and of course, and through energy production. So when the brain gets agitated or stressed, or let's see, chatting monkeys is another way people look at it, or confusion, or unable to make decisions or process, or whatever it is. Well, the brain requires a shit ton of energy, and of course the small intestine is one of the main organs involved in production of that. So that definitely ties in if you are deficient in small intestine energy. So remorse as well, hypersensitivity, regret, guilt and regret. So balance these energetic lines out. The pericardium, which of course is linked with the heart, coordinates productivity and conductivity. And it's linked with vitality, fertility, audacity as well. It is also a fire, linked with the fire element in yin polarity. And when it's in excess, you may be sleeping lightly. Those who aren't great sleepers, either they wake up several times during the night, or they have trouble getting to sleep, or they sleep lightly, there will be a reason for that. Now remember how important sleep is. You heal when you sleep. So if you're not sleeping and not reaching those, deeper or slower brain waves, then you aren't getting into that restorative sleep. So all of the cleanup and the rebuild that's supposed to take place at nighttime, if that's not occurring because you're not sleeping well, then you're going to wake up feeling like you run a marathon because you haven't been able to recharge and regenerate, and then you're on behind the eight ball for the rest of the day, and it becomes just a vicious cycle. The other thing that happens if you don't sleep well is that you end up releasing less growth hormone and more nerve growth factor. And so then you become wired for sound. And that's what is found in those who've got chronic pain or chronic fatigue issues is that, yeah, they're not repairing, but they are producing more nerve endings. The body's going, I know there's something wrong, better figure out what it is. So here's some more sensories to try and tap in. Vicious cycle. So when it's deficient, then there's an inability of productivity or to, well, give birth, shall we say. Someone may also have a fear of high places, depression, weakness, and yeah, all of that sort of thing. Heart fields, really. On to the next meridian. So there's 12 meridians, remember? So we're whizzing through them. The triple warmer or the triple burner. And that's, that deep internal fire that we have and flow of energy. So it governs social and group interactions and also provides our defensive or constructive energies. It's linked with vivacity, energy production, and enthusiasm. If the energy through that meridian is in excess, then you will be prone to sadness, anger, seeking social approval, but also caution in social relations as well. You can kind of see how behaviors and patterns and moods, thoughts and feelings can all have a link to these imbalances through the meridians and through the energetic flow of us as light bodies that we are. Remember, you really are just a light body. There's plenty of science that supports this, that the physical is just a crystallized form of consciousness, and your experience is all encoded. It's all encoded. It's all through information. It's all through frequencies. So prove me that you're real. You're just a simulation. I love it. Okay, so here's another good one. So the deficiency. Sorry, I haven't got to triple warmer. So back to the triple burner. So deficiency in energy through the triple warmer meridian you'll feel isolated, social phobia maybe, stress, exasperation, and tension. Not a nice place to be, really. When people have tried everything else, they've gone down mainstream, they've looked at the conventional approaches to health and wellness, yet the entire metaphysical aspect has never been addressed. That's when people come and see me, because what's showing up in your life in terms of health, wealth, relationships, all of that is simply a manifestation of what's happening on your internal world. So you just can't go down and treat physical with physical and expect that's going to fix everything, when really there's a blockage through these vital forces that, we can't see, but that they exist. And I'll continue on. So the spleen/pancreas meridian is the organ of defense identity, and it's also linked to addictions and dependencies and development of concepts. It is where moral strength is found in. It's the capacity for synthesis or deep intelligence. It's a sense of life, loyalty, individuality, and behavioral structure. Spleen is also really in terms of the organ. So we're talking about meridians, but in terms of the organ, the spleen is the largest organ of the lymphatic system, which is your immune system. And the spleen is also linked with family. So it's found just tucked away on the left-hand side, posteriorly of the rib cage between the 9th and the 12th rib, and it really helps maintain the blood as well. You store red blood cells there, and the balance between the platelets, the white blood cells, and the red blood cells. So often people with left side shoulder problems, it's their spleen that's the issue, not the shoulder at all. But your body really can't tell the difference because the signals from the organ are so low vibration compared to from the musculoskeletal or the tendons or the ligaments, and they scream a little louder, and so the body goes, no, it's my shoulder. And I could tell you how many times it's been the spleen that's been causing the problem. So treat spleen, the shoulder problem gets right. And then, of course, with the pancreas, and as I've mentioned just before, with this meridian, the spleen/pancreas meridian, it's all about identity as well. So often people that manifest with pancreatic issues, it's because they are living a life that they're not choosing whatsoever. So that manifests as a physical issue. And yeah, isn't one that I would want to be manifesting, that's for sure. So in excess, if there's excess energy in this meridian through the spleen/pancreas meridian, then there'll be excess reflection, a craving for sweets, of course, and because the pancreas is linked with all insulin regulation, and there will be about an exaggerated worry and depression. So we're funny creatures as humans. We really are. And I have been in that space myself before where your brain gets hyper focused on something and you just go round and round and round and round on it. Yeah. Take the hints. The body's speaking loud and clear. When the spleen and pancreas meridian is deficient, you'll constantly feel dissatisfied. There'll be a mental emptiness. There may be self-pity, lack of concentration, restlessness, those types of things. That's come up a few times, hasn't it? All right, moving on to your stomach meridian. It's a yang meridian, and it's related to ego needs or selfless desire. So it's also involved in information processing, emotional stability, self-dynamism, gosh, I never say that one right, activity and content, and in content or content. And in excess, it will manifest as compulsive behavior, excessive thinking, frequent frustration, nervousness, insomnia, extravagance as well. And that's your stomach meridian when it's in excess energy. If it's deficient, there's no taste for life. So thinking about the stomach again, on how important it is in terms of energy production and nurturing and nourishing the system. If your energy through the stomach meridians are low, then you're not going to have enough energy for life, really, to feel good, to feel happiness, to feel content, to feel satisfied. We need to be producing enough energy. And there are times where people are doing all the right things in terms of energy input inwards, yet are unaware of how much their environment is impacting us from an energetic level as well. So lungs, the lung meridian, it's associated with the metal element, and it is also a yin channel. It's all about related to the art of love and looking for what does not exist in normal mental states. This meridian also governs the states of consciousness and their changes, and maintains interpersonal relationships as well. It's also the organ associated with grief. So what I've found in my work, people with lung dysfunctions or lung issues, say asthma or a history of respiratory diseases, it's that there's been significant grief at some point in their life, and the lungs have been shocked by that energy, because remember, every emotion carries an energy, and every organ in the body has its own energetic signature as well. And so there are particular organs that get impacted by certain emotions, and the lungs are always impacted with grief. It's also the highest generator of free radicals in the body, really. So it's like your engine room. So free radicals are the byproducts of metabolic processes, and they are unstable molecules, and they go around causing destruction to your system. That's what causes breakdown. So the lungs, if they're in excess or in deficient of energy, are going to therefore be producing excessive amounts of free radicals, and then the liver's got to detox all of that, and it's just stress on the system, basically. So it's also, the lung meridian is also sort of associated with vitality, various sorts of emotions, ethics, and artistic sensibility, whatever that means. Appropriateness, probably. And when that meridian energy flow is excessive, it will manifest in jealousy, exaggerated worry, feeling discouraged with everything. Depression, keeps coming up, doesn't it? And deficient in energy through that lung meridian, there'll be a lack of motivation, melancholy, sadness, chest tightness, self-pity, sighing for impossible or lost love, and also linked with increased sensitivity also. So again, it's just one of these ways we can take a look at, from an energetic perspective, what is going on with our energetic field. And given that we are nothing but frequencies and vibration, the more in balance the flow of chi through these meridians, the better balance and the higher vibration you have. If you want to have all these amazing, wonderful experiences in life, we need to raise our vibration. And we're talking here about energy flowing through specific pathways, outflow from the chakra wheels itself. And so energy is vibration. So the more energy you have, the higher vibe you got. The higher vibe you got, the better things that are going to come into your reality. So if you're going, yeah, okay, Jam, that sounds too easy, then just start looking and listening to how do you know when something through your energetic space is in excess or deficient, and then looking at trying to address that through meditation, or whether it's through nourishing with different foods, or acupuncture, or whatever it is, that come to see me, that kind of thing, right? But sort it out, because it will result in physical manifestation of dis-ease. May not be overnight, and usually takes a good 10-20 years to fully manifest itself. So don't ignore all of these signs and symptoms along the way. Your body's talking. Okay, we're almost there. There's 12 principal meridians, remember? So I think we're on to number 9. No, 10. Large intestine. It's related to resilience, self-renewal, and detachment. And the morphogenetic matrices associated with the metal element in the yang polarity are generosity, forgiveness, and intuition. So if you're struggling to forgive, there's probably an imbalance in your large intestine meridian, which will also manifest in other ways. So you may have constipation, diarrhea, you may have trouble absorbing what you're putting into your system, you may have back pain, inflamed gut, or poor energy through the intestinal tract is usually what the source of a back problem is. And people go, but it's my back, and I go, yeah, but why? So in a state of excess energy through the large intestine, you will experience feelings and thoughts of resentment, remorse, anxiety. In a state of deficiency, then there will be an increase in feeling dependent, a lack of initiative, sadness, lack of enthusiasm, pessimism, and, as I said, inability to forgive. So check yourself before you wreck yourself is kind of what that's about. Sort it out. Okay, kidneys. Here we go. Kidney meridian. A yin meridian also. The energetic line runs very internally through the midline of the system, and it's connected to the maintenance of life by the will and courage. It's also our alert instinct. It's because the adrenals sit on top of the kidneys physiologically, and it's also linked with our willpower also. It is linked with the water element and yin. So it's all about strong sexuality and reproductive capacities, and our determination, our strength of character, strong vitality, and our resilience. So in excess flow through the kidney meridian, you are likely to be impatient, have sexual compulsion. You may fear not having enough resources, and cunningness would be another quality as well, that may manifest as a characteristic if someone's got excess energy in through the kidney meridians. Let's say it's deficient, you'll have a lot of fear, apprehension, pessimism, may manifest as adrenal fatigue. Being there, weak voice, inferiority complex, and nervousness as well. So you see that the light just went on. All right, and for the last one today on my little insights to meridians and morphogenetic fields, and what is that? How does it show up in the body? Is the bladder meridian, and it's related to profound changes in the psyche. It's also linked with the water element as well, and as a yang channel, and that energetic line basically runs right up the back line of the body, and it really is a strong backbone for us as well. So it's about our determination, our sacrifices, and adapted decisions, ability to adapt to a new situation, and maintain steadfastness basically. So you want the bladder meridians to be really strong. In fact, if you were looking at it from a mechanical perspective, shall we say, often people's posterior line of the body is very, very weak. We sit in a box to watch TV, and we sit in a box to drive to work. We're in these positions a lot where the rectus spinae muscles, where the bladder meridian runs down, the big main fillet muscles that keep us upright, they are being weakened simply through our day-to-day habits, really. And so if you are a gym goer or you're doing some movement of some sorts, make sure you strengthen your back line 100%, and know the difference between muscle fatigue pain as opposed to pain doing an exercise, because a lot of people will stay away from back extensions if they hurt, thinking that it's not good for them, when actually it's just a similar muscle fatigue in most cases. So if the energy through this meridian line is in excess, then it will manifest in things such as distrust, mental agitation, and lack of stability, because as I said, it runs right up the back line of the body and it comes up and over the head. So if it's out of balance and the energy flow along through over the brain is in excess or deficient, then yeah, you're going to have some mental agitation. When it's deficient, it's likely that you will have bitterness, fear, weak muscle tone, muscle weakness, and mental instability as well. There's another one that had muscle weakness in there too. But I think perhaps we've already gone through that one. So there you have it. There are the 12 principal meridians and the morphogenetic fields and how it's linked to excesses and deficiencies of energy flow through the body. So if any of that resonated with you in terms of going, gosh, yeah, you know, I don't sleep well, or I'm constantly kind of like a dog with a bone and I can't get out of the sort of certain thought process, or any of those other manifestations, then have a listen back onto the meridians that they're linked to, because it can tell you a heap about your actual physical health and wellness. And while it might not be hugely problematic at the moment, when left unchecked, you know, all these signs, these little alarm bells that are coming up. Signs and symptoms are alarm bells. It's your inbuilt alarm system. It's absolutely fantastic. Yet most people ignore what's happening and just fob it off, and, you know, maybe it does come right for a little bit. However, it will take 10, 20, 30 years to manifest with a physical presentation that is not a good one. So I'm talking chronic dis-ease. So I always say, sort it out while it's, you know, just tipping the scales a little bit. Don't wait till the shit hits the fan before you decide to do something about it. Anyhow, hopefully that's given you a little bit into the energy flow in the body. Now I'm going to try and get out of here and get back to, you know, what I was doing. Wait, I'm having trouble with my mouse. Oh no, it's not going to work. I can't go. Hit me up with any questions if you like. And remember, this week we are doing an introduction to the quantum realm and with regards to frequency medicine. But I'm definitely going to be talking more about manifestation tips, and have had a request to do a workshop on manifesting. So if that does interest you, let me know, and or send me a PM. And then the other thing this weekend coming up, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I have 2 of my students, my colleagues and students, doing their level 4 holistic practical, well, exam really. And so I'm looking for guinea pigs to try the frequency therapy. So if you know anybody who's suffering with chronic dis-ease or chronic pain, anxiety, depression, insomnia, infertility, any of that kind of presentation, then please let me know and I'll send you a link, and they can book themselves in for a complimentary frequency medicine session with us. Ciao. Have a great night.